Hi, welcome to Salt and Burn This. I'm Sami.
And I'm Valerie.
And this is our Supernatural Rewatch podcast.
Each week, we're going to break down an episode in order with lots of details, so nothing's left out.
And we throw in some personal nuggets and stories and research to mix it up just a little bit.
Because not only are we fans of the show, but like Sam and Dean, we've also had our fill of road trips.
Yeah, but for theater, not for hunting ghosts and demons.
And not in a super sexy muscle car.
Anyway, shall we?
We shall. The last time I saw you perform was, I don't know, Hawaii?
Right. Long time ago.
A long time ago. And that was just fun, fluffy stuff.
Yeah.
This was on stage in front of how many?
Like 5,000 people.
I mean,
it's the scariest thing I've ever done.
It was amazing. And you just walked out there like you do it every night as a freaking soloist.
I know, that was fucking wild. I was like, what am I even doing up here? Why I have zero business up here with all of these other people.
So here's a funny thing, and I'll try to make this quick. I will admit I didn't tune in right at the top, so I had to go back, once, and I, back, and I was scrolling, and it was when I finally tuned in, it was you and doing the duet.
Oh, with Drew. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was like, who is that? Because I was on my phone because I was outside with the dog. So I've got the, teeny tiny screen. I was like, who is that? And I was, and I tuned in and I was listening. I was like, all right. Well, let's go back and see what's happening. Scroll. Samantha Salloway.
Yes, Samantha Salloway.
Samantha Salloway. And I was like, oh, and I saw the pink dress come out. I was like, yeah. Because what I heard from you vocally in the duet was not your voice that I'm used to hearing.
Yeah.
So you have come so far, and I don't mean that you weren't good before, but the style of your vocal.
Yeah, I could not have done that even 2 years ago, I don't think. But yeah.
Brava. It was wonderful. It really was. And I wish you could have seen my face when it dawned on me that was you, and that was your voice that was coming out at me. It was great. It was great, and it was fun.
That was an excellent program altogether, like from start to finish. Did you see the whole thing?
I did. I went back and watched the whole thing.
It was really good, and I really liked the way they set it up from this is when operetta kind of started to be a big thing, and then they just went through the timeline of then it evolved.
And then the little stories that went with the composers and stuff. Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was awesome. I loved Shannon. Again, just an amazing opportunity. I'm so thankful to Michael for putting you both into that program.
I know. I'm very thankful also.
Yeah, and Kristen sang beautifully. She looked to me like she was very comfortable, and she wasn't acting. She wasn't acting through her singing, which she does because she's always, but this time she was just singing and I loved it. So, and Michael Nansel was wonderful.
Oh my God. I can't tell you how good it was to see him. And then he got to be my husband during a weekend in the country. I was like, I love this so much. And he's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Sweetheart. So anyway, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I was pleasantly surprised, and not because I wasn't expecting anything good. It's because what I was expecting was blown out of the water. So.
Wow.
Yay.
Thank you so
and
much.
Your high note was like, I heard you coming up on, and I was like, okay, she's going to do it. She's going to do it.
I was even while I was doing the second to last note, because I did have a little phlegmy moment where I was gargling a little bit, and I felt it, you can hear it if you're listening very closely.
You're listening, yeah.
But while I was singing it, I was like, should I go for it? Because I had an alternate plan in case I chickened out, because that was a very real possibility with the huge crowd. And I was like, should I do it? Should I do it? Fuck it. I'm just going to try and see what happens.
And it came out. Again, a note I've never heard you sing before. So. Yeah, when I got to the end of this episode, I'm like, we got to get through this one quick. Like, we got to get through this podcast episode quick so I can watch this next one. Because
I kept going.
Oh,
I kept going I kept going for like 4 more episodes. Honestly, I was like, no. I'm in a binge mode and I need to keep going.
Oh my God. I mean, talk about a hook. I mean, we'll get there. Yes, we'll talk about it. But I was like, we gotta get through this one quick so I can go back and watch this like tonight. But it's like, it's already super late. I won't be watching it tonight. But yeah.
I know. Okay. Shall we get started?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Season 4, episode 20, The Rapture. Castiel has been sent back to heaven, and his human host, Jimmy, tries to regain his life. But the demons won't leave him alone, and now his family is at risk. Sam and Dean can help a little, but they're going to need a miracle to win.
For those of you listening, you missed the air quotes around miracle.
Directed by Charles Beeson and written by Jeremy Carver and Catherine Humphries.
Carver. So I had to look up Rapture. I remember a number of years ago there was talk about, the Rapture was happening.
I have seen an American Dad episode where they feature the Rapture, so I feel like I'm an expert on the Rapture. You're an expert?
Okay. Well, what's funny about it, I mean, apparently it's the end of times, right? It's when not only do all the living believers get called to heaven, but all those already dead are also, I guess, brought together in heaven. Okay. It's some sort of reunification. But there is nothing about the rapture in the Bible, at least not in historic Christianity.
Yeah.
So it may be in like newer, obviously, things, but it's not like in the Old Testament. It's not in the New Testament. It's not in the Bible.
Interesting,
right? Now watch, I'm going to get some hate mail about that.
Yeah, like someone going like, actually.
Yeah. So my question is, the rapture. So, and it's supposed to be, the name Rapture, it's supposed to be a joyous thing where the rest of us are all, us non-believers are left to,
like watch them being brought up into paradise.
Yes, like, into paradise. Yeah. But based on this episode, if this was Castiel's rapture, not thinking he had a rapturous time, given how this ends.
Or Jimmy.
Right? Yeah. So interesting. I mean, obviously a little supernatural irony playing here with with it. But so this is heavy Castiel's story. This is like his story. Which I want to say
a story for a character that wasn't even sure if they were going to be on the show that long,
Yeah. And I do want to shout out Misha Collins, who I thought did a fabulous job in this episode.
Absolutely fantastic.
When I was rewatching it, I took a minute. I was like, he took a lot of shit on this show. And his character down the line is made fun of a lot.
Yeah.
In a cute way. A lot of it is in a cute way. But in this episode, Misha himself, I was like, well done. I can see why they joke with him, because he actually has the strength of acting. Yeah, he's got the chops. There, you can't make fun of somebody who's weak, and he is not. He is not weak. His character is canon, and he's canon for a reason, not just great writing, but because of what Misha brought to it. So this episode, I was like, good job.
Yeah.
Well done, Misha.
Yeah, I loved having him in the bulk of it, and getting to showcase 2 different people.
Yes. So the recap.
Our recap. It's kind of simple. It's showing the two main storylines that we're going to see in this episode. So we get Cass's badass entrance again. Never get tired of seeing that.
Nope.
He talks a little bit about how certain special people can hear him and see him. He points out that he's in a vessel. Dean is special, etc., etc. And then on the flip side, we see Sam getting further and further and further into it.
Yes, blood sucking.
Yes.
With Ruby.
Yes.
So in the now, it's an interesting start. It's a beautiful vista of Dean fishing on the end of a dock. Yeah. He's not wearing boots. It looked to me like he was wearing like
I didn't notice I didn't notice shoes. I noticed the color grade, the color palette. It was very warm.
Like a sepia.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was also like, is this the Dead in the Water?
Ooh. But yeah, that was like super cold looking though, the way they did that episode. But yeah, this was like a nice, pleasant, and I was like, well, this isn't real, obviously, because it's too nice. And when is Dean ever just sitting by himself fishing? And of course, boop, Castiel shows up, and I love that every time he does show up, because we don't see him appear. It's not like we see him poof appear. It's just 1 minute he's there and then the camera pans. I mean, 1 minute he's not there and then the camera pans and he's there. Yeah,
it's not even like Bewitched level of special effects of let's just pause the camera, everyone stay still.
And then you see him
Sam come in there. Yeah, bing.
It's just
the camera turns awaway and then it comes back and
he's there. And I love it because Dean always has the same little catch. He always says, and then he rolls his eyes like, damn it, got me again. And Cass appears and Dean's like, well, I must be dreaming because, you're talking to me and I'm on a lake holding a fishing rod. And Cass says, I need to tell you something. And Dean says, well, tell me now, I'm here. And Castiel's like, well, I can't, it's not safe. Someone could be listening. So he hands Dean an address on a piece of paper and says, go there and go there now. Mm-hmm. And then boop, he's gone. Again, Dean goes to look back at him. He looks down at the paper, looks back at Cass, and Cass is gone. And then he wakes up back in real time. He's, in a hotel room.
Dark and dingy motel room. Yep.
Yep. The color has changed back to the dark, blue cold, gray cold of a Supernatural. Yeah. There's a truck horn blowing. So they're clearly on, in a motel on the side of the road.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next shot are the boys at night searching inside of a warehouse that has been internally wrecked by something supernatural.
I mean, there's still sparks flying. There's still electrical, appliances.
It looks like there was a hurricane or a tornado inside of this warehouse.
But they do notice a giant bloody sigil on one of the walls. I mean, huge bloody sigil, and it turns out it looks like the same sigil that Anna used when she was around to like blast the angels.
Yes, send the angels back to the cornfield was the exact quote from Dean.
Oh my God. So my thought was like, God, that was a lot of blood, and that was a huge sigil. So how many angels were actually there? Like how many angels got blasted back to the cornfield?
Do you need a bigger sigil for the more angels that are in the room? I guess so.
I guess why else would it be
so giant?
Hell? Yeah.
And then they also, the only body that they find was alive, but is a Cass passed out on the ground. However, Castiel is not there. He's gone. All that's left is Jimmy Novak, his vessel.
Idle splash. Castiel's not here. Who are you?
Da-da-da.
Jimmy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dun, dun, dun. So cut to after the title splash is Jimmy, Dean and Sam are in a diner and Jimmy is just chowing down.
There are so many mouth sounds happening in the next few minutes with this.
Like that's so much that it's like making Dean uneasy.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, you're even going to give me angina. Jimmy's just like, I haven't eaten in months. And while he's eating, they're trying to be patient, but they're like, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jimmy doesn't know. He's like, 1 minute, Cass was with me, and then there was a flash of light, and that was it. Then I woke up, and here I am eating with you guys. And I love this description. He said what it was like having an angel inside you. He said, having an angel inside you is like being hitched to a comet. And I was like, that's really vivid. I love that. He's like, I don't remember anything because it was just so much.
Yes.
Cue the flashback.
Yes, one of many of this episode. We find that Jimmy is a very, very devout believer, Christian, enough that he's saying grace at dinner with his family and that he has fallen asleep to some sort of evangelical programming on TV.
It's like, there was a guy describing like a car accident, and he woke up with like, he could see himself under the truck, angels surrounding him. And just then the like TV glitches, and it does that high pitch kind of sound.
Yeah,
and
it does. It does the angel radio thing.
Yep.
Which he doesn't know is an angel radio yet, except for maybe a few seconds later when he just starts seizing on the ground.
So Jimmy ends up seizing on the floor. It's not like he's like, yes, Castiel, here I am. No, it almost knocks him out. Just like that.
So next, while Jimmy he's either sleeping or eating or something, but the boys are discussing what to do with him. Sam wants to take him to Bobby and just figure things out, maybe get a psychic. We got to figure out what he knows.
It's funny that they he wants to go like the psychic route. I'm like, don't you remember what just happened?
Yes, I had that same thought. I was like,
with your last psychic?
Really? You want to bring in another psychic? The one that you blinded?
Right.
With an angel with Castiel?
Yeah. Right. Yes. And then that you also then just got killed.
Yes.
But yeah, funny that didn't even flicker on their horizon there.
Poor Pam. Was that her name? Pamela?
Yeah, Pam. I loved her.
Dean wants to take Jimmy back to his family. Because remember, that's what we used to do, is like save people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Sam thinks he's being realistic, that demons will be chasing him also.
Right.
Because if
get the information.
Yeah, if they are so curious about what Jimmy knows, being Castiel's vessel in a year, yes. And he's not wrong. He's being harsh, but he's right.
I said Sam's being practical. It comes off cold, but he's right. So
yeah,
he's right that they need to hold on to him, keep him safe, while also trying to figure out what to do next.
Yes. And Jimmy does not like this plan.
No, he wants to go home. He semi-acquiesces because, Sam puts it out there like, well, you're going to endanger them. You need to stay with us. Well, for how long? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and they're like, well, all right. Right.
I also think Sam physically blocks the door when he tries to leave. I think that was also a thing. He says something, Jimmy says something about I'm a prisoner, and Sam's like, well, I mean,
it's a harsh way to look at it. But he doesn't say
no.
But you're right. He said that while blocking the door. And I mean, Jesus, Jared's a big guy. Yeah. Especially next to Misha, because he was like looking down on him. Mm-hmm. And when Sam gets that look of brook no disobedience is all I can think of that comes to my mind. It's just this look of don't cross me. Yeah. And it's not angry. It's like, it's danger. He has a very dangerous look sometimes, as opposed to sweet bedside Sam. Yeah. When he has his danger look on, it's like, ooh, danger. Look Sam. Out. Yep. So here's a quick question. Because one of the things that, Jimmy says when he's, saying, I want to go home. I've had enough of this. Mm-hmm. You don't understand. I've been stabbed. I've been tortured. I've been, dragged around this earth for a year, by an angel. You don't understand what I've been through. And a part of me was like, well, so he does remember some things, because he remembers being stabbed and he remembers being tortured and he remembers being, and of course I was like, ooh, wasn't Dean like part of that stabbing when they first met, right? Yeah. Or was it Bobby who stabbed him? But so he remembers certain events in his life, in his time as Castiel, but doesn't remember everything, because you would think that Sam and Dean would be like beacons of memory. in his life, at least in the last year. But so that was just a question I had, is like, he does remember some things, but maybe not.
But why doesn't he remember the thing that happened to him, or like what Cass is trying to say?
Yeah, or even remember Sam and Dean. You know, he remembers being stabbed, which I'm sure he was probably stabbed more than once, knowing.
I think he knows who Sam and Dean are. I never got the impression that he didn't know who these guys were.
Really? I got the feeling that he just didn't know them. Because if he did, why would he be so reluctant to listen to what they had to say? You know,
maybe it was just kind of like in and out, you know, like phasing in and out. So he's seen them through Cass's eyes, but also Cass has at this point not spent a lot of time with them.
No, it's only been a year. Oh, you mean with them?
Yeah.
Right. True.
Like he's kind of only flicked in a few episodes, you know?
Right.
So they're not like on buddy level.
Right. Not the way we are.
At this point.
Okay.
But also maybe he is just kind of, sometimes he's a little bit more lucid, or maybe Cass is let his guard down a little bit. I don't know exactly how angels work with their vessels versus demons working with their vessels.
Right.
But
so yeah, I mean, I felt for him. I felt for Jimmy, because he's like, I've given enough.
Right.
You know, I did my thing. And by some miracle, again, the word miracle, you know, I made it out.
Okay, so now it's nighttime, and I guess it's Sam's turn to keep watch. Both the guys seem to be asleep, so he does a little sneaky sneak out. However, Jimmy has his own sneaky plans. He's dressed and ready to go under the covers.
He went to bed with his shoes on.
Yes.
Now, I did notice that, you know, Dean, as usual, is sleeping on top of the covers. So he was ready to like up and go if he needed to. Yeah. So I can't really blame Jimmy for sleeping with the shoes on. But I was like, yeah, but you were under the covers with your shoes on. That was weird to me. But yeah, sneaky sneak. So Sam's outside. I thought he was getting a soda, and turns out he's not. But whatever he's doing in that moment, he doesn't see Jimmy get out of bed, open the door, and leave the motel.
Nope. He is too consumed, literally, by his bloodlust.
Hey, bloodlust. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's got a little mini flask, not of sippy, but of blood. And clearly he's almost out, because he's like pouring little drips and drabs of it onto his palm instead of just like drinking it from the flask, which I didn't get. He has to pour it onto his palm and then lick it like a, you know, I don't know. I don't want to describe it as anything. It was
that I think was mostly just to show the audience that he's drinking blood. Yes. Instead of whiskey, you know, it's like, oh, we need to actually see the red goo.
The red.
But it did feel like, but this is how he's been drinking it, right? It's from Ruby's arm or hand or skin, you know, like from the body. So maybe he was like, this is what I like that action also.
Yeah. It was also semi-sexual. So I guess it was you know, but yeah, so well done, because it was definitely blood. And it was definitely, there's a side of desperation to how he was drinking. He wasn't just like drink. He was like, I need to lick every bit of this off my hand. I need it. Yes. Yeah. And it doesn't look like there's a whole lot left. Kind of like, you know, me with chocolate syrup. It's like, so the next morning, Dean is like all relaxed, not in any rush, brushing his teeth.
He's laughing at Sam.
Giving Sam a hard time.
Amazing.
What do you call him? McMoop? What a
I don't know. He said like I don't remember. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Big prison guard and
Magoo, Mr. Magoo, like leave or something like that. And but also when Sam was like, I just went to go get a Coke, and Dean just saying, was it a refreshing Coke?
Refreshing? Yes.
Dean is just totally like, you idiot, man.
You idiot, yeah.
All right, let's go catch him.
Let's go get him. You know, part of me is like, was Sam like really upset that he got away, or was he feeling the effects of withdrawal, and that's why everything was so intense for him.
Okay, so interestingly enough, there is a deleted scene from this episode, but I don't know where it would have gone. But they were definitely in this motel, and I don't know if it would have been like Dean woke him up brushing his teeth kind of thing, but Sam sits out of bed, very obviously has the shakes. Like he is, and maybe it was from the very, very tippy top of the episode when Dean is like, hey, we gotta go somewhere. I couldn't quite tell where it fit in, but you can definitely see Sam having the shakes. He is going through a withdrawal.
Okay. Because I was like, why is he so intense about this? Whereas Dean, who normally would be intense about it, is like, we'll go find him. It's fine. You know, I mean, there's the element of danger of demons, but let's go. We'll go get him. But Sam, definitely more agitated about this. Yes. And it's not because he was the one who was watching him.
Yeah.
So next thing we see is Jimmy riding a bus home. Cue the flashback. Jimmy's at home in his kitchen. He hears a high-pitched noise on the radio. And only this time he doesn't have a seizure. He leans in closer to the radio and kind of hears like a whispering. I mean, you hear that noise, but it's more, you definitely hear a more pronounced, somebody is saying something.
Yeah. And then his wife walks in on him, stirring a pot of boiling water with his bare hand.
Yeah.
Like elbow deep into this pot of boiling water.
And smiling.
Yeah.
Like, honey, look at this. And she's like, oh my God. He's like, no, look, no burns. This is great. He told me to do it. And she's like, he who? Castiel. That's the first time he's said his name, Castiel. Who's Castiel? Oh, I had to do it as a sign of faith. And look, it's a miracle. There's the word miracle. I'm not burned. Isn't this great? And MapQuest, he's on his way to Pontiac, Illinois.
Right. So boys are in the Impala on their way to Jimmy when all of a sudden Anna appears in the backseat.
I loved her entrance. Hey, guys.
You let him go, you idiots.
Yeah. Dean swerves into oncoming traffic. Anytime an angel appears, Dean's like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And now she is like, how could you have let him go? Well, he was going to tell us something. What did he say? I don't know. Well, he was called back to heaven. He was dragged back to heaven.
Yeah, dragged back to heaven.
And this is not a good thing, which Dean rightfully is like, really? Like, isn't heaven supposed to be the place that you want to go?
Yeah.
Not according to Anna.
Right.
Which I want to say, if she can pop into the back seat of the Impala and be like, hey guys, why doesn't she pop over to Jimmy's and be like,
exactly what I wrote. If this is so urgent and this is such big news, why didn't she just go to Jimmy herself or take the boys with her? Like they could have just pulled off the side of the road and she could have done her, the little angel 2-finger, like, boop, we're going somewhere else now.
Nope. I do like, though, that Dean and Anna still have a little bit of chemistry.
Yes.
A little bit of fun chemistry, I should say, because he's like, hey, looking good. She's like, not now. Yep. Not now. And she also makes fun of him for pulling into traffic, accidentally startling himself into traffic. She's like, wow, smooth. Nice. Yeah. But she does take enough time to look at Sam and be like, you seem different.
Yep.
And Sam's like, what, haircut? No.
I know.
Different.
This is at least the second, maybe the third time in a row that something has noticed a difference in Sam, because the ghouls, when they were feeding off of him, were like, oh, your blood is different.
Yep.
So at least 2 supernatural-ish things have said, Sam.
Yeah, what's up? So back at Jimmy's house.
Jimmy walks up to his door. He sees his daughter through the window and cue yet another flashback of his wife insisting that he needs to take his meds and go seek help.
Yes, because there's religion and then there's not religion.
I did find this interesting because he's insisting that angels are speaking to him, and why not him? if we believe in God,
why are you questioning this?
Yeah, it's like, why is this so hard to believe? And you know what? He kind of has a point. Like if this is part of your religion, that God is always speaking to people in the Bible. That much I know.
You atheist, you.
Right. So like you're super super Christian until somebody is like, oh, God is speaking to me, and then it's like,
and then you're
you're crazy.
Yeah.
So
people who find miracles. Oh wait.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, you got to take your meds.
Yeah.
Or I'm leaving,
Yeah. Who are we to question? Well, me.
Yeah.
And she walks away. You're right. She says, take your meds or I'm taking our daughter and I'm leaving. I'm going to my parents. So he gets dressed. He puts on his trench coat and walks outside and says, okay, I'm ready. But you have to, he's basically looking up at the sky saying, I'm ready, but you have to guarantee me that you'll take care of my family.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do this, but you have to provide for them. You have to keep them safe.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, okay. And this beautiful white light, shines down on him. And it's not the blinding light that usually is accompanied by angels. Yeah. It's like it's a beautiful white light, but it's not intense.
Yeah.
And it just seems like welcoming, encompassing, and then it's gone. And then it's gone. And it's like, and just then, Claire, his daughter, comes outside and says, Dad, are you okay? And Jimmy turns around, looks at her and says, I'm not your father. In the Cass voice.
Yes.
That lower gravel
cold
tone.
Cass voice.
Yep. I am not your father. Turns and walks away.
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah, and leaves this little girl on the
I know.
on the porch.
Not like, an angel that doesn't really have emotions would care in any way. But it was still like, oh.
God, see now, and I bring this. You mentioned this, but I bring it up later because I was really struck by this later in the episode. But real quick, I'm trying to, in my head, it just hit me. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. This is a year ago, like in their timeline. So when Dean was in hell, was Cass an angel without a vessel, or was he already in a vessel with Jimmy?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Because how did Castiel the angel grip him tight and pull him from perdition?
Is my opinion. He was in angel form during that, and then when he tried to speak to Dean through like the angel radio stuff, and he wasn't getting through because Dean is not of special blood.
He had to go find.
That's when he went to Jimmy.
Okay, I just wanted to make that connection. Because that's pretty important that the reason Cass is on Earth.
I feel like if we were to go back and watch the first episode, he does say something about his vessel and needing to go find it in order to
talk to Dean. Okay.
So I think all these flashbacks that we're having now, granted, I don't know how many days that has gone on, from the start of him hearing it through the TV and having a seizure, and then burying his hand in the boiling water, and then him saying yes. I don't know if that's all one day or over a month or any time in between that. So it's kind of hard to tell.
Interesting though, because I had forgotten.
Yeah.
And so I like this tie-in. I like it. I like the fact that Castiel, his storyline is being brought back to, he didn't just appear, he didn't just do this thing and now he's this thing. This is Jimmy's story of
how it all affected him and
his
family and everybody around him. We see when his wife does answer the door and she's in shock and trepidatious, she's like, we thought you were dead. We
wrote you off. Yeah. I mean, she didn't say that, but she's like, we stopped looking for you.
Yeah. Because you never called, you never wrote, you never said where you were. Don't you think your daughter would have wanted to know that your father is alive? And poor Jimmy, he's just like, he lies. He says, I was in a psych ward. I just needed to get better.
Which is a good answer.
It was a great answer.
And maybe he kind of felt that way, that,
Yeah. And I think he's honest here when he says, I was confused and I was delusional and I thought that God was calling me to something important.
Yeah.
But that was just all a lie.
Yep. I was confused. And I wonder if he really believes that, or if he's just saying that for her. You feel like he feels like he was lied to.
Yeah. I think that Jimmy is having the same feelings about angels that Dean and Sam have about angels, which are like, wow, you guys are dicks.
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting. Yep. Because I have a question about that later. But yeah.
And I think that's, it kind of shows in the next scene when Amelia, his wife, does not let him move back right back in. But
she's like, no.
Yeah, but she does agree to a dinner with the three of them. Like, okay, small steps.
Of sandwiches.
We love sandwiches for dinner.
We love sandwiches. And no grace.
He does not say grace. And even when Claire says, aren't you going to? He's like, I don't think that I am.
Nope, we're just going to eat these sandwiches. And by the way, they look delicious. Those were giant sandwiches. Yes. And if you're going to make a sandwich for dinner, that's the one it's going to be. So cut to Sam and Dean on their way to Jimmy's. They've stopped at a gas station. Sam has stepped away to be by himself to make a phone call. He's calling Ruby, who's not answering, clearly has not picked up the phone in a very long time. And Sam is definitely in withdrawal because he says it. He's like, I am out.
He is jonesing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, call me. Stop what you're doing. Call me now. I am all out. I need more. I need more. So definitely an addict.
Mm-hmm.
So back at the house, during dinner, the doorbell rings. And it turns out that it's one of Jimmy's, his best friend from whenever.
A neighbor or something. Yeah, it's gotta be a neighbor.
It was like, hey, did I just see Jimmy come home after, a year of missing? So, so my red flags here, like alarm bells, red flags. Yeah. Whose neighbor is going to interrupt you if you happen to notice that this man who's been missing for a year has come back to the house? Are you going to be like, ding dong, hey, is that the guy who's been missing? Or are you going to be like, wow, family must be needing some family time right now?
Yeah.
Like, let's not interrupt. So part of me is like, come on, lady. But she invites him in and want me to get you guys a beer so you can talk? So Jimmy and what's this guy's name? Roger go off into the other room to talk and hug it out and, hey, what's been going on? And you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Yeah. It starts off very neighborly. He's very concerned for Jimmy. And you feel like it's going to go towards hey, listen, you left your wife and kid, for a year and I had to watch over him. You feel like it's going to kind of go that way, except we know the show. So we know that it's a demon because it is a demon because immediately he's like, hey, I'm going to gut your daughters.
And make you watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to
black
get
eyes.
your daughter while you watch. Black eyes. And I love that Jimmy's like, for a second, Jimmy's like, what?
Excuse me? Clean out my ears. I did.
You know what this means. And in walks Wifey Poo with the beers because he then proceeds to start beating his best friend Roger. Run, he's a demon. What? Wow.
Yeah.
What's going on?
You said you were at a psych ward. You're okay now.
But now you're beating this man to death in our living room.
Saying he's a demon. And then he shoves his family in the closet. Pours a salt line against doors, says, stay here. Right. I mean, she's like, no. You are fucking nuts.
Yeah. And she fights her way past him. Of course, crosses the salt line and, goes running into the living room where she is grabbed by
Claire is grabbed.
Claire is grabbed. Oh, that's right, because she sends her out first, out of the closet. Run,
Get away from your father, he's crazy.
Yeah, except then, Claire's grabbed by Roger the Demon, who is a complete bloody mess, but still kind of handsome at the same time. So, on a side note, Roger the Demon, I kept jumping to Monty Python with Roger the Shrubber. So in my notes, I kept writing Roger the Shrubber instead of Roger the Demon. So sorry about that, and I won't go into it now, but it made me giggle every time I wrote it down.
Shrubbery.
shrubbery.
Rogers has a knife to Claire's throat, which that's another red flag for Amelia, Jimmy's wife. It's like, whoa, you were just like beaten to a bloody pulp. How are you standing up right now, basically?
Right.
And then Roger's wife grabs Jimmy, and she sees Roger's wife's black eyes and is now like, what the fuck?
Thank you.
And then just in time, the boys show up.
Yes. Dean appears, slices Roger the demon's throat with the demon blade.
Mm-hmm.
Sam steps in with his death to demon's reach, thing. And he's like, he's a little constipated. It doesn't quite work because the wifey demon is like, she starts to react like, oh no, it's the
guy. Oh,
nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Like, what's the matter, Sam? Can't get it up? Dean says, no, but I can. And goes to stab her with the blade, but she immediately smokes out. So
I know he would have been able to get her had he not announced himself with his stupid little punchline. Like if he would have just snuck up and stabbed her first and then said, no, but I can.
That monologue will get you
solved
every time. It's either get the blade knocked out of your hand or you waited to just too long because you were monologuing. You
had to say your punchline before you attacked.
Yep. So outside, Jimmy and Claire are by the Impala, and then
everybody gets in the Impala, scattered, and they escape.
I just thought it was funny that they're like, "Where's your wife?" She's like, "I'm here with coats." All right, you were running from demons, but you went back inside and grabbed coats for the kids because it was snowing because it is Illinois after all. Not suspicious at all. So later.
They have escaped, and Jimmy is now like, oh, it turns out you were right. And then this is when Sam turns into super asshole.
Super dick. I think what Dean is saying before Sam goes off on his assholery is that even if you don't remember, the demons still want to check you out. Like what makes a vessel tick, and he mentions, unfortunately, that probably is going to involve vivisection, which I had to look up. I'm like, it doesn't sound good, vivisection. But it's the experimentation, like via surgery and stuff on living animals. Oh. Like no anesthesia, no anything like that. It literally is the practice. It's now illegal, but of basically experiments on living beings.
Oh my God.
So that's it. Let's cut you up and see what makes you tick while you're awake. That's great. So Sam. And
what's weird is, my friend Sam.
Yes.
Is being diagnosed with brain cancer. Mm-hmm. And it's the same type of tumor. It's a long name and I can never remember the name of it, but it's the same thing that Joe Biden's son had and that John McCain had. I don't know the name of it. Something like that. They had to do surgery on Sam while he was awake. Like on his brain. I just saw that
on his post.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they do most brain surgeries are done while you're awake.
They do because you have to, like they ask you questions, and make sure that they're not hitting any kind of vital nerve or tissue that's going to make you like forget
start
words
speaking French.
Things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's very cool. I mean, that's weird. It's terrible, but it's still really cool at the same time.
That it is really cool.
Like, poke, wrong place.
It's not cool that he had to have the tumor to have that done in the first place.
Right.
But when I saw him, he's just got this giant scar on the side of his head. I was like, whoa. Wow. And then I was just like, what did they, it was like, they were asking me questions. They would ask me math questions, very simple ones, like what's 2 + 2 and what's your name? Can you write, something, they were
they're literally scooping melon balls out of his head.
Yeah.
Wow. So what lies ahead for Jimmy, even if he, doesn't, stick with Sam and Dean, future is not good. Future by himself or with his family, just trying to be a normal person with his family is not good. And Sam, for the second time in 2 episodes, gives this terrible, you're gonna die, your family's gonna be tortured, your life is not gonna be worth anything. And literally he says you should put a bullet in your head if you're not willing to, give up your life with your family.
Yeah. He gives them like 2 options. He's like, either leave your family or put a bullet in your head.
And even Dean is like,
I think Dean is so shocked, like he can't even really say anything until he's
not like a minute, Sam, a word. No, he doesn't even do that. He's like, Jesus, way to sugarcoat it.
Yeah. Jimmy
and the wife are chatting. I have to say, she's trying to be kind of funny, like, oh, I owe you a big apology. There are demons, there are angels.
Yeah. Whoops.
I'm like, oops. She's still pretty accepting of the situation in this moment. I'm like, given what she just witnessed, the violence and demons, and she's like, I guess you're right. But she accepts the fact that Jimmy's deciding that they need to go their separate ways. For how long? Oh, we'll jump off that bridge when we get to it, quoting Sam. Sam hotwires a car for Claire and Amelia so that they can go their separate ways. Before they'd go, Jimmy's really sweet. He talks to the daughter and does the whole, take care of your mom speech and stuff, gives her the kiss and the hug, gets in the car, gets in the Impala with the boys. And of course, the daughter is kind of like, why is dad leaving us again? And I will admit, I didn't see this coming. The fact that Amelia turns and looks at Claire and then full on slaps her across the face.
It's demon for you.
Yep, I did not see the slap coming. I saw the demon. I knew the demon was there. I did not see the slap.
So in the car while they're driving away and Jimmy is sleeping, Dean is questioning Sam about his mojo yo-yoing.
Right.
He says like you could kill Alistair and now you can't even kill stunt demon number 3.
Number 3.
Very funny.
Which must be a running joke.
Yes.
Kind of like a red shirt,
Yeah. Dean is like, listen, I'm not getting mad. I'm just concerned because
you're not in control.
Yeah. Something's whacked out here.
Yeah.
I got a little upset here because so Dean seemed to be okay now with Sam's powers because he can gank demons, but then when it doesn't work out, why isn't he strong enough to do it now? His freakiness when it serves them is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
And now, usually when he's been like, you freak, he's just like, why aren't you freak enough?
Right.
It's kind of what it felt like a little bit.
I wonder if it's because a weakness, not in a weakness of like, gee, you're weak, but it's a liability. It's because it's a strength they can't rely on now. Because if Sam can't control it, they can't rely on it, and it's going to get Sam killed, or it's going to get Dean killed.
Right, but I guess I'm upset that Dean is now relying on it. When before he was like, don't do this, you're a freak. Don't do this, you're a freak. Don't do this, you're a freak. And now it's like, why aren't you freak anymore? Like, why aren't you freak enough? You could kill Alistair. Okay, yay, I guess that was good. I guess I don't have a problem with your freakness anymore. It was a little bit, it was, honestly, it was a little bit this way.
The only thing that I would comment about is that I don't know if Dean thinks it's okay that he, killed Alistair, that he killed him in that manner. Not that he didn't just like kill him. That's all, because I feel like since that episode with Alistair, that Dean has been like the softer Dean, and has been a little bit more, he's been more accepting. I don't know. That's all I can think of is that in that moment, but I hear what you're saying. Absolutely. It's Dean gets to have it both ways.
Yes.
So the phone rings.
The phone rings in the middle of their conversation. It's Amelia, but
it's for Jimmy.
She drops the bomb that it's not Amelia, it's demon, and she's holding Claire hostage, and now they have to go do that. So Jimmy's supposed to show up alone to battle it out with to get his wife and daughter back. All of this was like such cheap writing to me. It's like they go in their meetup and it's like they're going to expect you to go alone. Like they express all this confidence to Jimmy. It's like, don't worry, we're going to be right behind you. Once Jimmy leaves, it's like, this is a trap, right? It's like, yeah, that's why I have a plan.
A plan. Right.
No explanation of what the plan is.
This is so Deus Ex Machina. This is that's literally the definition.
This is like we're running out of time to. We have so many other things we need to do. I just can't.
I have a cunning plan, which is a Blackadder reference. Which I don't know. Not a lot of people watch Blackadder, but there's a line that runs through every episode, which is I have a cunning plan, which always turns out to be a terrible plan.
It's also well, not that they have terrible plans, but the A-Team. You know, like the one guy is like a love it when a plan comes together.
I love it when a plan comes together. Yes, exactly. Hannibal.
So Jimmy goes off and he has a little screaming fit at Cass. Very rightly so.
I loved this.
I did too.
I loved this scene because they're back at, I'm assuming, the same factory where the Angel battle took place. I'm assuming it looked another blown out factory. Mm-hmm. So Jimmy's outside before he goes inside the building. He's outside and he does one more plea to Castiel. Mm-hmm. Like, I did everything you asked me to do. You said you would always be there for me. You said you would take care of my family. Help me, please. And I love that while he's doing this and ranting at the sky, he's walking on this field of broken glass. I don't know if you noticed that, but it was all these blown out windows. It was just like a field of broken glass. And I was like, oh, the imagery, of broken promises and, just everything is wrong. And I just love it. And he's like, anyway, I loved it. I love that imagery. And unfortunately, even after Jimmy says, help me, nothing. And he says, typical. Turns and walks away by himself into the factory, knowing that he's probably going to get killed by the demons, but he has to save his wife and kid. Now, my question here is typical. He's saying of Castiel, typical, no response, no help. How is this typical in Jimmy's experiences? Maybe. Or is it because he's been watching as Castiel and been experiencing Castiel not answering?
I would say that. Yeah. I would say when other people have asked for help, or even if he's been around other angels, like who knows what Cass was doing off camera, Like how many times somebody else has asked an angel for prayed to an angel.
Right. And not gotten anything.
And has seen what's his butt? The guy that just got killed, who ended up being on Lucifer's side. Uriel.
Oh, Uriel. I was like, Junkless is all I could think of. Yeah.
How much of a dick he was.
Yep.
Why he never said grace this last time. He's just like, no, I've seen it. I've seen who these people or these things truly are. They are not these magical, do good things that.
Right. That loving angelic thing that that I want to picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he storms off by himself.
Yes.
And he runs into the demon, and in the background, his daughter is tied to a chair.
Yeah. And she has already seen through this brilliant plan that Dean had and has captured them.
Right.
So therefore wrapping up cheap writing.
The cheap writing and the bad acting.
It's fine. I know that there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yes.
So I know that they just had to get there.
Yes. So Sam and Dean are dragged in by these two other, stunt demons, 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And they're whatever, just some bad acting by Jensen and Jared in these moments. But the demon's kind of stoked because she's like, this was just a milk run for me. I was supposed to get this empty vessel, and now I've got you two.
I know. She had this very, very quickie monologue that I really enjoyed. She was just like, I was so annoyed with my task,
right?
But now look at me here, and now everybody's going to die. Gun points at either Sam or Dean, but then at the last second decides to shoot Jimmy.
Yep, and boy does he look surprised. I was like, wow. Now my question is, I thought they wanted him. I was like, why did you shoot Jimmy? You guys wanted him. This whole episode is you trying to capture him, but maybe it wasn't it. Maybe it was just to kill the vessel.
Maybe we all thought to kill the vessel that then because Cass would then have to find another vessel.
Yes.
Which he does, because when she says kill the brat, and the stunt demon number 2 goes to swing like a
pipe,
baseball bat or something, a pipe at Claire. Claire pops up, grabs the pipe, and then smites this demon out of the body.
I love that the captions at the bottom says sizzle.
That's funny.
As the white light is like, burning out of his eyes.
So Cass did find another vessel. So this could have been one of two things. It could have been, let's kill the vessel so the angel cannot come back and has to go through the work of finding another one. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they're trying to draw Cass in.
Out. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe this demon is just like chaos and it's just like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to kill everybody in this room because I have the power. Ha 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 ha.
I also want to note that like Sam and Dean's popularity in hell seems to be growing. And I don't mean popularity yet as in yay Sam and Dean, but like more and more demons know about Sam and Dean.
Mm-hmm. And they know about Sam's little his secret life, because she is a second demon in this episode that says something like, oh, your Wonder Girl powers aren't working. Yes. So
I want to point out there was a really cool camera shot as stunt demon number 2 is walking down the hallway to the little girl tied to the chair.
It's the bird's eye view.
Cool. Yes. Mm-hmm. I loved it. And it wasn't really, I thought it was going to be like a POV, little point of view. Like maybe that was like Castiel watching, and then he just goes into Claire at the last second. But we don't see that. Like they don't manipulate us into thinking that.
Yeah, they don't have like the nice warm light.
Yeah, it was just really a nice cool shot.
It was very cool. So the boys take advantage of these demons being caught off guard with the new vessel.
The angel girl. Yes. Claire, like the ropes that are holding the little girl down, like magically burn off her body.
Yes, she burns off the ropes, and then she smites a second demon.
The one that was beating up on Dean.
Sam has the demon knife, but has like this vampiric sense of blood pumping through the body.
Yes.
Of this demon. So when he's on top of the demon and about to stab her, instead, he decides to nick her vein. What is the
carotid?
Yes. And take a nice big drink.
Full vampire style. He just like
totally vampire style.
Yeah. And when he looks up, having drunk his fill, Dean and Claire / Castiel are looking at him. And the amount of blood on his face, he had like a goatee of blood. Yeah. It was almost comical.
It was comical.
I think they were going for like the bat. Like if you ever, looked at animals who have eaten, like if you're watching lions eating prey, they just come up and their muzzles are all just covered in blood. I think that's maybe what they're going for. I hope, because otherwise I was like, really? He went deep.
Right. I know. And it's funny because when you watch vampire movies or shows, or even like Anne Rice,
it's all just like boop, boop.
They're very cleanly and dainty with it. They're like, no, we leave no trace on our beautiful little faces here.
But I guess it just shows his need of how bad he did, especially if he was willing to basically kill the host,
right?
Because he then ends up also driving the demon blade, devil's knife,
demon blade
into her chest and kills her, and then stands up and is now facing Dean and Castiel, Claire, and then suddenly reaches out the death hand, and Dean even flinches like, oh shit, what are you trying to do? And then demon mother is there, and Sam's able to pull the demon out of her, the demon smoke out of her, and burns it up. So she lives. So Mama Amelia lives.
Yes.
That demon dies. Unfortunately, Jimmy is still shot and laying on the floor.
Yeah, and Cass Claire goes to him. It says, "Thank you for your service. You did good. You can now go up to heaven and rest, and I will move forward with this one, because she also, it's in your blood. She's also a special person,
right?
Special vessel."
And but Jimmy, like, don't.
Absolutely not. You are not going to put my daughter through the same torture that you put me through.
Yeah. And Cass in the little girl is like, well, let me just be clear then. Everything that you experienced this past year is just going to go on forever for you.
Yeah.
And he explains like all this like torture. And I'm like, well, of course he's going to say do it to me and not to my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, of course, that's not an option.
Right.
That's not an option. So it's heartbreaking, though. I mean, Jimmy is dying of a gunshot wound. He sees his daughter and he's like, please, he's begging. He's like, please just take me. I don't care what you're going to do to me. You will not do it to her.
Yeah.
Please. And so Castiel, as the little girl, reaches out and says, okay. And very gently, angelically, like this little girl had such an angelic face.
Yeah.
You know, reaches out, puts her hands on Jimmy's face and basically a laying on of hands. Yeah.
There's the transfer of angelic power from Claire into Jimmy. And then Jimmy Cass stands up.
Leaves, doesn't even like acknowledge her. Stands up, walks away.
Yeah.
Walks past the mother and walks through, you know, past Sam and Dean. And Dean says, wait, Cass, you know, what were you going to tell me? Cass turns and is pissed. I mean, he just takes like one step towards Dean and says, you know, in my time in heaven, I learned my lesson. And that lesson is that I serve heaven, not man, and certainly not you. And I was like, dang.
I know.
I mean, what is going on?
I know. You know, Sarah Gamble had said something like up in heaven there's like a Big Mac's prison. Like this is how they pictured it. Big Mac's prison where they do like the Bible thumping brainwashing. You know, to turn you into like heaven's bitch.
Gotcha.
Essentially. So that's kind of what they pictured what Cass was going through. And it is torture. Like heaven is full on pro torture.
Right. But I guess my question is, why so much anger against Dean? Because, you know, Dean and Sam were only doing what the angels, you know, had been telling them and manipulating them to do, you know, except in maybe this incident. Because this brings me to another question, which is, was this Dean's plan? Was to call Castiel into the little girl Dean's plan? Or was that Castiel answering Jimmy's prayer? So, like, what was Dean's plan literally to try to sneak up and, you know, foil them? Or was his plan to call Castiel, you know, his big plan? Because them being captured seemed so stupid. It
did seem so stupid. And it did feel like there's got to be something that they know. I don't know. Maybe Cass did tell them, psst, I'm going to sneak into the little girl.
But then maybe why was he such a dick?
But yes, exactly. It's like his reaction to Dean just simply asking, hey, what was the thing you were going to tell me that you stuck into my dream to be so secretive about?
Right.
And then Cass being like, fuck you, basically.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like they did not premeditate this at all.
Okay. So Castiel walks away into the darkness.
This was where I just realized, like, oh yeah, I never finished taking notes.
Well, because you think like, this is the end of the episode.
Yeah, well, it's like, oh no, I have to clock out, and then I forgot to keep going. But there was only like 5 minutes left of the episode anyway, so.
Yeah, and that's when I looked up and saw that there was still time left on the timer bar. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pick up the pencil again.
Right.
So it's Sam and Dean driving together in silence in the Impala. And it's this time Sam is like, okay, I can't take it any longer. Yell at me, stop the car, you know, punch me in the face.
Yeah, let me have it. Let me have it because I know it's coming. Just stop.
You saw what I did. I drank the blood, you know, and Dean doesn't give it to him. He's like, no, you know, I'm not mad, you know, that this isn't gonna, you know, I'm disappointed. Yes. And he says, I'm tired. I'm not mad. I'm tired and I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
And before we can expound on that, the phone rings.
Right. Although he has said this many times in the past several episodes.
Yes.
I can't do it anymore. Ever since his beatdown with Alistair, he has said something like, I'm tired and or I'm done and find somebody else.
Right. But it's like, what has he done? Is he done hunting? Is he done trying to be the supportive brother? Done being the not supportive brother? What? But the phone rings, and thankfully it's Bobby. I'm like, finally, Bobby. It's been so long. It's been so long. I was like, Bobby. And thankfully he breaks the tension with a little bit of humor because, Sam's like, what's wrong? What's going on? And Bobby's like, the apocalypse, you idiot. That's what's going on. You need to get back here. And so they drive to Bobby's, which, by the way, if they were in Illinois and they drove to South Dakota, that's like 11 hours.
Right.
So how far were they into that drive? I don't know. But I was like, oh, God.
A several hour long drive.
Yes. But they're down in the basement in near Bobby's panic room, which I kept calling a dungeon because it looked like
it does kind of look dungeony.
Yeah. And, he's like, I got to show you this thing. And so he's like, come in here. And he goes to step into the panic room, except only Sami steps in and is like, what? Where's what's this demon problem that you told us about? And from outside the threshold, Bobby says, you're the demon. You're the demon problem. And then closes the door and locks it.
Yep.
It's for your own good, which of course nobody wants to hear.
Yeah.
And you hear Sam on the other side of the door going, hey, guys.
Hey, very funny.
Hey, all right. This isn't funny. Guys, blackout. And you still hear him saying, guys. And so this is like the worst intervention ever, I'm just going to say. Because again, this is not the end of the episode. Because now, instead of credits, it goes to this new thing that they did.
Yeah.
Called Soon. In bloody red letters, though in supernatural letters, soon. So now there's a whole nother segment of this episode that's up. And it's basically a tease of coming episodes. And it's insane because by the time I got to the end of it, this is when I was like, son of a bitch, I have to watch the next episode. Because, oh my God.
And you know what's weird is when I'm looking at the air dates of these episodes, it feels like it was some sort of a season break.
Hiatus or something. Yeah.
It wasn't at all. Like
it really was just the next episode.
April 30th was this episode that we were at the Rapture. The next one was May 7th, and then the finale was May 14th. So it was a week in between each one.
Oh my gosh. So now I'm like all anxious now. But yeah, so it's Sam in this soon. It's, Sam saying, I've been drinking demon blood to, get strong enough to kill Lilith. I'm not just doing this for myself, for my kicks. It's to kill Lilith. What was that guy's name? Ezekiel? Was that the last Dick Angel that we met?
Oh, Zachariah.
I knew there was a Z. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zachariah is announcing that all the seals except one has now been broken. I'm like, where have I been? Like, that could have been a million episodes of Supernatural of all these individual seals being broken. But now, all but one. So fast forward, all but one seal. Lilith has been very busy since trying to seduce Sam. Dean is having a conversation with Cass, and Cass is saying to Dean, do you give yourself over to God and to heaven, or God and all its angels? And Dean is saying yes. So I'm like, what does that mean? Yeah. Alistair is back. Like there's a clip of Alistair saying, now what shall we do? And he is in the room with Sam. Yeah. He's saying it to Sam. Sam is strapped to that same demon table that Ruby was strapped to, with the like leather strap over her face and the strap over her boobs, Yeah. Except he is not shirtless. Just going to point that out.
Yep.
Not fair that only the women get strapped shirtless to this table. Dean's very adamant in another flash that he doesn't want to turn Sam into a demon. He's not going to give in, and he's not going to give Sam any more demon blood. I'm not going to turn my brother into a monster. Sam's back with Ruby. Not good. And then there's a clip of Dean saying to Sam, if you leave now, don't ever come back. A very John Winchester-y thing to say.
If not a word for word John Winchester-y thing to say.
Right. So yeah, a lot happened in this little tease. It's like action-packed, emotion-filled drama. I mean, Lilith is in there. I think it ends with Sam face to face with Lilith saying, I've been dreaming of this.
Yes, and she's like, give me your best shot or something.
Yeah, like bring it on, big boy, something like that. Yeah. And that's how that soon ends. Yeah. So I don't know if all that is just what happens in the next episode or if that's the next couple of episodes. Like, if that's just one episode, holy shit, there's a lot that's happening in this next episode. But I don't know that because we'll have to watch it.
Right. It is interesting. I don't know why they decided to do this little soon, especially because the air dates were not, it's not like they were going to be 2 months later.
Maybe they just felt like it was winding down and they needed to amp it up,
Yeah, or maybe they ran out of time in this episode and needed to fill it.
Yes,
that could be a thing.
Happened before.
Yeah, who knows?
Was a lot of, I don't know, but I mean, whatever the reasoning is, the hook worked because I am fully invested in.
I mean, I remember them locking Sam into this room. I forgot that it was a cliffhanger from the end of
this
episode. I thought it was all contained within one, but I was like, ooh, this is so much better than I remember it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the next day, listeners, just so you know. And while I was editing, remember at the very, very tippy top of the episode, you said you did your research on the rapture and how it is not in the Bible. Then I thought, I think I have a friend who I can ask. His name is Charlie Walker. He's a pal of mine from high school that I've recently reconnected with over the past couple years or so through social media. Cool. He's super awesome, and I've been meaning to give him a shout out anyway because he is like our biggest hype man.
Oh, really?
When we were talking and I told him about the podcast, he's like, "What's it about?" Oh, it's about the show. And not only did he start listening to us, but he started watching the show.
Yes,
I think so. Goal. I think that's how that went. But
okay,
yeah, every time the new episode drops, he will message me and be like last time he was like, "I'm totally on board with the Rugrats thing." Like, I get it.
Was that him?
Yes,
I saw that on social media. Okay, that's awesome.
So, I asked him like, "Hey, are you like a studied man of religious things?" Mm-hmm. Turns out he has a master's degree in theological studies.
Wow. Okay, I think I'm getting ready to be shunned here.
No,
okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to know. So I was like, you had mentioned that the Bible does not mention the rapture at all, and he said, "Nope, not at all." However,
okay, phew. All right. Yes,
you are correct. However, St. Paul writes about a Greek term that he calls, oh God, I am going to butcher this, parousia. It's a term for when the population of the city-state, like Rome, would leave the city upon the commander's triumphant return, i.e. Caesar. So they come out of the city, they meet him outside, and return to the city in a group celebration. St. Paul says that's how it will be when Christ returns. The righteous will be lifted into the air and meet Christ in the air, then all return to earth together. But rapture comes from a misunderstanding of the book of the Apocalypse of John, i.e. Revelation, where there will be 1,000 years of the reign of devil in earth. Some 1800s evangelical loony thought it sounded cooler as a rapture. So lots of Christians from all sorts of sects misunderstand Revelation as some sort of future indication of the end of the world, when it really is using vivid ancient world imagery of the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 CE. But those Left Behind books were pretty popular in the 90s and no doubt played into the writers of Supernatural show, about as quote-unquote scriptural as the Da Vinci Code, but they made for good Tom Hanks and Nick Cage movies. Which I was like, wow, that's amazing.
That's But, people buy it.
Yeah. I mean, I bought it. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring this full circle.
No, that's great. End. I was like, what have I done now? I totally thought I got it wrong. I was like, damn you, internet. I need to scroll past the first page of
the Wikipedia
research.
article.
Yes.
No, I do the same thing. So anyway, thank you, Charlie, so much.
Very
Appreciate your super smart insight of shit I know I'm very, very ignorant about.
So this actually was more to this rapture, the supernatural one was more to along the lines of true spirit of rapture and not the idealized.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Religious rapture, which is like, oh, this is great. Yes. We're being lifted up.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, no, this is like, no, this sucks.
Yeah.
This all really sucks.
Okay, so I loved this episode.
Oh, yes, me too. I forgot to mention, and because we mentioned in the beginning, but in the end, when Cass is now back in Jimmy, he does, his voice dropped again. So he went from this like regular voice, Jimmy Novak, to Castiel. And it wasn't like, oh, there it is, but it was like, oh, there it is. It's like all vestiges. Is that it? Yeah. Vestiges of Jimmy were gone.
Right. It's kind of like when you see a first season episode of The Boys and then jump into, let's say now, season 4 episode of The Boys. Their little baby voices are all the way up here. It's like, Dad's on a hunting trip and he's been gone for a few days.
Right? Right?
I know it's like
I know it's all super yeah, and even Sammy.
Yes, I would say Sam more than Dean, so. To be honest.
Yeah. Later, like, Jensen goes even lower.
Yeah.
Like, I think they even talk about it at the cons, how they actually like damage their voices because of the intensity of what they brought to their characters. But Misha was a Tibetan throat singer, a Tibetan monk throat singer or something?
A throat singer, mm-hmm.
So
he does like that.
Yeah. Very cool stuff. So, but yeah, I just forgot to be like, oh, that's right. He dropped, like, Jimmy's gone, Castiel's back. It's that lower registered, almost unemotional voice, monotone. Okay. Sorry. Yes, I loved this episode. I really did. And again, shout out to Misha Collins because it showed beautiful arc, very good, subtle, heartbreaking moments of anger and anguish, pain.
Yeah. And it was just nice, especially when you know that this character was not meant to be in the long haul at all. Mm-hmm. And that now they're like, you know what? We want to be invested in this character. Let's give him an origin story. I mean, we've discussed it sometimes when demons possess the humans and then Sam and Dean just like shove the knife in them, willy-nilly. It's just like, well, let's hope they were dead anyway, or not gonna have a good life anyway. They're killing people. Right. Like, let's be real.
Let's be honest. Yeah.
But here we see kind of the cause and effect of an entity possessing a human and taking them from their life, from their family, from their job, from their kids. It's something you don't think about during the show because that's never the focus. It's always...
Even, they try to make it nice that it's, them willingly becoming vessels.
Right.
But still knowing, like, once we see Jimmy afterwards, he's like, no, don't want to do this again.
Yeah.
This was not the holy sacrifice I thought it was going to be.
Exactly. It's like, sure, you're giving consent, but you're not exactly... You don't know what you're giving consent to. So is it actually consent?
Yeah. And then
be applied to many other things.
And then learning that it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be.
Yeah.
And that he, that just made it even harder. And so it's like, I'm going to have a hard time seeing Cass again, just because knowing that he was willing to possess the daughter and put her through, put this little girl through.
Yeah.
What Jimmy just went through. It's like, oh, Cass,
I know. It's like he just needed a body and didn't care.
It just had to be the blood. It's in their blood. I guess it makes you able to be a vessel. Because
I wonder if you can ever say no. Like, if you change your mind. Like, if Jimmy at any point was like, never mind, I went out. If Cass would have honored that.
I don't know if they're actually able to.
Oh, that's a good point too.
If he doesn't remember, his time with Cass, because it's all, was he ever able to, even if he could? Like,
great episode. Love the arc. I loved the twist at the end.
Yeah.
I loved seeing Dean's face when he realized what Sam had been doing this whole time to get his mojo going.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were a lot of feelings, and there he was regretting, like, oh.
What? Because if it was him doing it himself, if it was Sam doing the push-ups, and making himself strong, that's one thing. But going so low as to suck blood, / demon blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
turning into, like, it was very vampiric, and vampires are one of the monsters that they
would just cut their heads
hunt.
Off. I think he said it earlier in a previous episode that you are what we hunt.
Yeah.
When he first started
if I didn't know you, I would hunt you.
I would kill. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Hooray. I mean, hooray for this episode, not hooray for he's done. I mean, hooray for this episode.
Right. We have 2 more episodes left of this season.
Cool.
Next episode is When the Levee Breaks, our penultimate episode of season 4. We're going to wrap this one up since it's been a long night.
4 freaking hours.
I am falling asleep.
Yeah. My eyes stopped working. So
yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe to us anywhere that podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts is preferred just because they give an option for a rating, which is nice and helpful. You can also listen to us on YouTube or any social media, although our episodes are on YouTube and we have fun little other things on the other social media. We are at Salt and Burn This. Yeah, we're everywhere, just like everyone else is. We are everywhere. You can't escape us. Ha 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 ha.
And feel free to forward. That's a big thing. Forward and share anything of ours.
Share podcasts, episodes, little cute videos that you like. Just one that's going on strong for whatever reason. I'm not complaining.
Nope. We'll take it. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
We slipped into an what is it? An algorithm.
Yeah.
Like we just like stepped. It's like catching a good wave. I don't know how we did it, but we'll just ride it till it dumps us on the beach.
That's it. I think it's time for bed for both of us. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time for When the Levee Breaks. Bye.
Bye.